and welcome to the 11th Annual OTSL Year-End Awards. 2017 gave us plenty of surprising and unexpected moments, both on and off the field. Tonight, we take a look back at a year in sports that was as controversial as it was exceptional. Presenting our first award is Steve Ferguson.
The nominees for our Baby New Year Award for Rookie of the Year transcended their respective sports in 2017. For the second year in a row, we have one each from the Big Apple and the City of Brotherly Love, along with a La La Land sensation and one who went from college champ to Houston strong.
Watson throwing deep downfield. Watson to the end zone. Caught!
Rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson is red hot.
The National League Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year winner was by unanimous vote, Cody Bellinger.
Bellinger with a three-run home run.
Ripped to left field. There it goes.
That's a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Unprecedented numbers for anybody in NBA history.
He's feeling himself right now. His game is rolling.
All rise.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I totally have to agree with this. What Aaron Judge did as a rookie, not just on offense, but as a superhuman-sized outfielder, was just amazing. Like, some of those plays he made, no one else could have made those plays in outfield. You know what I mean?
His glove was overlooked.
And more than just that is the energy and the excitement that he brought to the Bronx was just really, really, I think, something the Yankees really needed this year.
Yeah, you know, I mean, look, I love what Joel Embiid is doing for the Sixers, and I think Deshaun Watson was going to walk away with the Rookie of the Year award in the NFL if he hadn't gotten hurt. I mean, how about non-contact injury in practice? Ouch. But I mean, what Judge did, you know, that ridiculous first half where he hit, 330, his slash line, his OPS was over 1,000, 30 homers, 66 RBIs. And I said on the show, how would he survive, that first slump? He got through it, fought through it, had a September where he racked up 15 homers and 32 RBIs to take the Yankees into the playoffs. Finished second in the MVP voting, too. I mean, hands down, case closed. Aaron Judge.
I just want to go on record and say I called this back in March.
You did.
Yes, you did. I actually called this. But it's not the fact that Aaron Judge hit the home runs, it's the timiness of these home runs. You think back to that AL wildcard game against Minnesota, and his home run, that was the loudest I've heard the new Yankee Stadium maybe ever. I mean, I've criticized it for not
since
being
2009.
Nearly as loud as the classic one. But also, you think back to Game 4 of the ALCS, his home run kind of jump-started that comeback. So Aaron Judge is really, not only has he rose above expectations, especially the home run derby, by the way, in Marlins Park, but he has become really the face of the Yankee team in a year where they basically said goodbye to Derek Jeter after 20 years and him being the face for so long.
Yeah. What's amazing to me about Aaron Judge, a year ago, this guy literally struck out half the time at the plate.
Yep.
This season, he had an incredible year, just a transformative year with 52 home runs. And when he did have that bad stretch, he turned it around quickly. And I have to say, and you mentioned Jeter, I would say he's about as close to Derek Jeter now as anybody the Yankees have ever had. And I think that's part of the reason why the crowd was so loud at Yankee Stadium. He's really a terrific player and a great guy.
Yeah.
What do you get when you put the managers from one of the best World Series in recent memory together with two leaders from South Carolina who turned boys into men?
This year's nominees for our Head of the Table Award for Best Coach.
We set out to put Clemson back on top, but tonight, at the top of the mountain, that Clemson flag is flying.
There's something powerful when you impact others. And what these kids have done, it's pretty special.
This team loves playing in Houston, and we're going to love bringing this World Series trophy back to Houston. These players never stop, they never quit, and they're always going to be called champions.
But what we accomplished this season and how to see these guys come together as men, as a team, really special group of men.
Full props to A.J. Hinch for what he did leading the Astros through. I mean, the city of Houston had such a tumultuous year, and to lead them through that, to get the first championship in Astros history. Much respect, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't give at least a bit of a shout out to Dabo Swinney. Think about what he's done in the last almost 365 days. He wins a national championship against the best team in college football with Deshaun Watson, loses Deshaun Watson, and still gets that team back to the college football Final Four with a chance to go for 2 in a row. Once again, they have to get through Alabama. So two really, they're in my mind, they're 1-2 in this, but I do understand why AJ walks away with the award this year.
I totally agree with you. I was going back and forth between those two as well, and I almost want to say that Dabo Swinney deserves it a little bit more just for having the 2 consecutive seasons in a row of being so good and so strong with a new quarterback this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Dabo Swinney should have won this award, and I'll tell you why. You look at A.J. Hinch. He is a really good manager, and he did a very good job with Houston. But in the World Series, some of the moves he made in the bullpen, you'd have to say he almost pretty much threw darts against the wall and picked out who he wanted to use in the bullpen. But I understand why he's getting the award, but what Dabo Swinney did, beating Nick Saban in the championship game, and as you said, Jay, having another shot at another championship without Deshaun Watson, I'd give the award to him.
I'm going to go with AJ Hinch. I'm happy he's the winner because you mentioned that bullpen. It was like they were so good in the regular season, and they couldn't get it out in the playoffs.
No.
And he made the right managerial decision. Okay, I'm going to ride the honor of Justin Verlander when he starts. I'm going to use starters out of the bullpen to get me from point A to point B, particularly in Game 7.
Yes.
When Springer, his home run pretty much killed the Dodgers' hopes in that game.
Yes.
But A.J. Hinch just being able to mix and match and not afraid to pull guys out of normal rotations in the bullpen because they want to get the job done. That takes a lot. So I'm happy that Hinch won this award.
With Christmas on the line, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stepped up to lead Santa's team to victory. That's why we've named our inaugural Best Championship Performance Award after him. Our 2017 nominees are the embodiment of that.
We thought, how can you top the 405 yards with 4 touchdowns? Well, by throwing for 420, 36 of 56, and 3 more touchdowns.
Comebacks on football's biggest stage are nothing new to New England's Miracle Worker.
End zone touchdown.
Serena Williams won the Australian Open while carrying a child.
What Serena Williams wants to do, Serena Williams will do.
She has nothing to prove in this series. Nothing at all.
And George drills this one deep to left center field. You can kiss that one goodbye.
George Springer of the Houston Astros, who hit 5 home runs in this great 7-game series.
I have to agree with Deshaun Watson winning this award. When you think back to him leading the game-winning drive against Alabama, probably the most hated college team in all of the nation right now. But Serena Williams winning the Australian Open while with child, I don't think anyone can top that. That's pretty remarkable. So I had to throw that out there as an honorable mention because that being a mother is probably the hardest job in the world, and the fact that she can do that and win a tennis major, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I'd have to go with Deshaun Watson, too, because, how much do we all despise Alabama? And to actually see them lose was amazing. But Deshaun Watson, I think what he did in terms of that performance, he really propelled himself in terms of the NFL draft. And before he got hurt this season, he was probably on his way to being Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree as well, and I hate Alabama as well, as
we
all know. Deshaun Watson I don't want to say single-handedly won that game because obviously it was a team effort, but he was really, really the driving force to finally, come back and beat Alabama.
I have to say, what Brady did in the Super Bowl, that's comeback for the ages, and what George Springer did in the World Series was a performance for the ages, especially the way he started out. And Anthony, I gotta agree with you. What Serena did, winning a major while pregnant, that I can't even wrap my head around that one. But what Deshaun Watson did, I know you don't say single-handedly, but he was the guy time and time again who had to come up with the big play to not only keep Clemson in that game, but to get them over the hump, to get them to the championship against Alabama. And to me, the fact that he's back on this list based on the fact that he superseded what he did the year before in the loss to Alabama, that's kind of what sealed it for me, man. I had to give it to him.
Last year, we discussed a trio of 3-1 choke jobs in the NBA and MLB playoffs, and which one of them was the biggest of them all. 2017 brought us the Falcons' self-destruction in Super Bowl 51, where they blew a 28-3 lead to the Patriots. Does this now own the top spot as the biggest choke job ever in sports history?
You know what? It is so bad. I mean, it gave us a lot of 28-3 memes and social media founder. But when I think of biggest choke jobs, it's hard for me to kind of top the Yankees blowing a 3-0 lead in the 2004 ALCS.
Wow.
Because you have 4 chances to put a team away and can't get it done. I mean, the Falcons taking a foot off the gas pedal in front of 100 million people. I've seen teams blow playoff games. I'm a Giants fan. We blew a playoff game in San Francisco, so I know it happens.
Yes.
But the Yankees are the first and so far only team to blow a 3-0 lead in Major League Baseball history. I'm sorry, but that's the all-time classic one. You can't go to Boston and be a Yankee fan and not be tormented by that memory whatsoever.
You know, look, I will give you full credit for that, and that's it would take something really big to knock that off of my number one slot, and to me, this was it. I mean, think about this. You had the presumptive NFC Offensive Player of the Year in Matt Ryan. You had a defense which was shutting the Patriots down left and right. They have a 28-3 lead. I mean, you pretty much should be able to say, turn off the lights, the party's over, as Don Meredith used to say on Monday Night Football. Steve, I know I'm dating the both of us by that comment.
That's okay.
But I mean, seriously, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, look, the Patriots took all the punches to the face that the Falcons gave them, but they got back up. And then they started punching back, and for whatever reason, the Falcons suddenly went from being Muhammad Ali to being some tomato can with a glass jaw and just went down and could not back up. I mean, look, give Tom Brady credit for everything that he did to win that game, but I mean, seriously, the Falcons basically handed him chance after chance after chance. You know, I mean, you can't keep giving Tom Brady that many extra opportunities or else he's going to make you pay him. He made them pay, and sorry to me, that is why it's the biggest choke job in history.
You know, I would almost agree with you on that, Jay, but I got to tell you, I think for me, as bad as this was what the Falcons did, I think as a Met fan, the worst year for us was 2007. We had a 7-game lead in the division.
I remember this.
17 games left, and I remember watching some of those games, and one of my friends said to me, "What's happening to the Mets?" And I said, "I have no idea. I have never seen anything like this." We went from having a chance to walk away with the National League division to having the Phillies not only take the division away from us, but we were a lousy team for about the next 8 years after that happened to us. I have to tell you, as a Met fan, that was the worst one, but this is very close to it.
Well, I actually agree with Anthony that nothing to me could top the Yankees Red Sox either, because that was just crazy. And it's 3 games to none that they were up. It's not just one game here that we're talking about. However, you know, in Super Bowl history, for sure, hands down, this is the biggest choke job ever, and it was definitely shocking to watch. And I still don't even know to this day how it happened.
You got a lot of people in Atlanta who are still saying the same thing.
The implosion of the Falcons.
Yes.
In many ways, 2017 was quite the roller coaster of a year in the world of sports. We're going to take a moment to send out 4 Christmas wishes for a better 2018 to some who could really use the hope a new year brings. Jay, start us off.
The NFL has had an awful 2017. The national anthem protests have caused a huge rift between players and owners and fans. The Zeke Elliott mess has caused a very public war between Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell. The on-field product has suffered due to injuries to marquee players like Aaron Rodgers and Richard Sherman, plus mediocre talent across the league, making some games just flat out unwatchable. It's my Christmas wish that 2018 brings us an NFL season where all the talk is about whether the Steelers and the Patriots are the class of the AFC, if Eli Manning should still be a New York Giant, if the Eagles are the new beast of the NFC East, and the worst off-field topic is how the Browns screwed up the #1 pick again.
Thank God 2017, the year from hell, is over. Every blue and orange Christmas stocking was covered in rancid, funky grime and stuffed with black soot. All the insufferable, unexpected, shocking injuries, Syndergaard, Harvey, Matt, Cespedes, Conforto, and so many others that I don't have time to name. Please, Santa, grant my baseball team 2 wishes. Give us health and success in 2018, and let Mickey Callaway have a positive first year as manager. Is that too much to ask?
Has there been a network not named Fox News that had a tougher 2017 than ESPN? The worldwide leader in sports found itself bumbling, fumbling, and stumbling through a year of PR mishaps. Layoffs, shrinking numbers of subscribers, the Jamil Hill controversy, and the Barstool Sports fiasco all made for a bad year. They even split up the long-term duo of Mike and Mike. Here's to ESPN and my Christmas wish for a better 18. Keeping fingers crossed that sports can be just about the on-field action for the next 12 months.
My Christmas wish goes to Eli Manning. The Giants capped an abysmal season by seriously damaging the relationship with their veteran quarterback and two-time Super Bowl MVP. Benching him in favor of giving their two young QBs playing time was a pathetic move that backfired. So they decided to start Eli again the very next week, thus destroying his 210-game starting streak for absolutely no reason. Eli has been rock solid as a started QB. He has tremendous character and has been a team player for his entire career. I know they were desperate to salvage this horrible season, but he deserved better than this. My wish is for Eli to get the respect that he so rightfully deserves, either from the Giants, who owe him at least that much, or from another team who will appreciate what he brings to the table.
The nominees for this year's Ambassador Award for Biggest Upset in Sports run the gamut. A soccer disaster that will reverberate into the 2018 World Cup, the toppling of a women's basketball dynasty, an SEC football upset double dip, and a comeback of Ruthian proportions in the Bronx.
The Auburn Tigers, for the second time in 3 weeks, have defeated #1.
You can't get a draw, a tie against Trinidad? You don't deserve to go to the World Cup. What are we doing? That should have never happened.
Last time UConn lost the game, November of 2014.
Pull up, got it! She got it! One of the great upsets in history.
The New York Yankees have survived. Down 0-2 in this series. They claim games 3 and 4 at home. Take game 5 on the road.
Yeah, I do agree with this one, you guys. I mean, this was definitely the most jaw-dropping, surprising upset to me this year. The U.S. has been in every World Cup since 1990. So this was just really, really shocking to not qualify for the World Cup this year, and very disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I get it, like how huge this is on the international stage in terms of scope of an upset. You know, beating a team that the U.S. men's national team clearly should have beaten. And maybe it's the Yankee fan in me, and maybe because this is a New York-based show, but the Yankees were not supposed to get this far. I said it on the show in April. There's an 80-85 win team to get this far, and then they go down 0-2 to a 102 win Cleveland team that on paper they should have no shot in hell of beating. To come back and win that series, to me, Cleveland was predicted to go to the World Series. Heck, I predicted them to go to the World Series. I mean, so to me, I would lean more towards them. They're the ones who got my vote when we were going through the process. But I do get the scope of what happened to the U.S. men.
You know, although our show, as you said, Jay, is basically a New York-centric show, I have to look at the fact that Auburn did something incredible this year. When you beat not one but 2 #1 teams in the same year, and again, getting rid of Alabama and knocking them off #1 was one of my biggest enjoyments this year of watching college football. But then when they beat Georgia, I said, wow, this team really deserves to have a shot at #1. And I've never seen a team do that in the course of a year. So I think that's the one I would go with.
Well, as much as I agree with the U.S. kind of dropping the ball in the World Cup, there are 3 days I was certain in life: death taxes and the UConn Women Huskies basically winning a championship.
Yeah.
And when they lost on a buzzer beater, no less in overtime, it was breaking news everywhere. No matter what you were watching, it was literally like jaw-dropping.
Sure.
111 games in a row, and you lose on a buzzer beater. That's got to be the most jaw-dropping, disheartening way to lose. But then when you look at Trinidad and Tobago and how the U.S. did not take this team seriously leading up to it. By the way, that's a lesson you teach little kids. Never overlook an opponent.
Nope.
Yep.
And the ramifications of it, we're starting to see it now with U.S. soccer. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with it has been a winner because it was just...
Or in this case, the loser.
Definitely a
Good
loser.
point.
But, I mean, it says a lot about how far U.S. soccer is compared to the rest of the world, at least on the men's side.
Yeah.
So it's a long way to go.
Yep,
Oh,
definitely.
yes.
For this year's award for the WTF/Are You Kidding Me moment in sports, we took the preposterous, cooked it up inside the outrageous, and stuffed it into the ludicrous to come up with one big fat tofurkey.
New bombshell in the battle at the top of the NFL. New reports now say that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones threatened to come after NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. This one's gotten kind of ugly.
Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be LeBron James' little brother. He doesn't want to be LeBron James' sidekick.
Did you speak to LeBron James or talk to LeBron James before you and your representatives met with ownership to let them know that you wanted out?
Even if my son went to another team and we was playing against each other, I'm not giving him shit.
Despite his success, the Yankees and Girardi have agreed to part ways. Some friction between he and general manager Brian Cashman. I think the big buzzword was communication.
Michael Jordan, and you running your mouth talking about you gonna beat him one-on-one. Why would you say something so blasphemous?
In my heyday,
Blasphemous.
he would need help.
Really?
He too small.
Stay in your lane.
One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
There's no way that I can't go with the Yankees axing Joe Girardi. I mean, I'm not even a Yankee fan, but it's amazing. This man was here for 10 years. They had a championship ring with this guy, and all they could say in terms of getting rid of him was he wasn't a good communicator. Give me a break. I mean, how do you win all those games and not be a good communicator? And the team this past year was basically expected to be maybe an 80, 85 win team. He got them within one game of the World Series. When do you fire a coach? You certainly don't do it in that scenario. That was absurd to me.
You know what? As much as the Yankees firing Joe Girardi after being one game away from the World Series is shocking, we kind of seen the writing on the wall for quite some time as far as Joe Girardi was concerned. LeVar Ball, I mean, what? Just pick a moment. Is it him?
Pick a day of the week.
Is it him yanking Leandro out of UCLA because they punish him for being a moron? Is it the banter about Lonzo and telling him he can coach them better than the Lakers coaches? By the way, he's not the only young player playing on that team. I'm quite sure Brandon Ingram and Kuzma's doing pretty well with that coaching staff. I don't like to bash LeVar Ball, 'cause I think he's been a great dad and being active in his son's life, but that's a bit too much. And maybe he need to tone down the big baller branding a little bit and just worry about, just be dad. Be dad for 5 minutes. That's all we need.
No, I hear you on that, Anthony. And, you know, to me, if this was any other year and this show was in any other city, I think LeVar Ball wins hands down, especially, you know, we've got the capper of what happened in China, and then, like you said, him pulling his kids and all that stuff. But because this is a New York show, I think that's why Girardi got this. I mean, remember, this is breaking news on the show when we did it, and all of us pretty much went, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, are you kidding me? Really? I mean, the guy wins 91 games a year for 10 years, takes this team that, again, was not supposed to get this far to within one game of the World Series. I mean, really, you're going to axe him for that? I mean, I understand Cashman's reasoning. I just don't agree with it, and I'm still shaking my head over it.
I agree about Girardi. I thought this was a horrible move, and I suspect there was something else at play here, whether it was a personality clash or something on a more of a personal level. Someone didn't get along with someone to make them make this move, because from his level of play from a manager standpoint, what he did was amazing this year. So there was no reason for this to happen other than I think there had to be something behind the scenes going on that we
I would
aren't
think
privy
so.
to.
It has to be.
Power play by Cashman to some sense, maybe. But good luck, Aaron Boone.
The Yankees aside, 2017 was one of the worst sports years in recent memory for the Big Apple. 3 teams in particular had seasons that were failures of epic proportions. The Mets turned World Series hopes into a series of careless injuries and off-field misadventures that ruined their pitching staff and their season. The Knicks lent new meaning to the definition of dysfunction with the season-long public feud between Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson. The Giants took Super Bowl hopes and flushed them in a season worthy only of a toilet bowl. Guys, which of these teams had the worst season?
You know what? It's so hard when you look at how bad everything went for all of these teams. I would have said the Mets, but until the Giants season, I would have gone with the Mets. But the Giants season has been an absolute disaster from start to finish. This team has won 2 games this year. There were experts predicting they'd not only be in the playoffs, but go to the Super Bowl. all right, you could say Odell Beckham getting hurt is one reason they're not very good. You could say that Brandon Marshall and Sharp getting hurt, that hurt them too. But this team has completely given up on their season. Their defense, which was supposed to be their strength, has been horrible. Eli Manning has, I don't know what's happened to him. And so I have to say that by far that's the worst I've ever seen.
You know, I would agree with you with the Giants because of everything that's going on. But the Knicks, I remember them going into the Christmas game last season, 4 games over 500 against the Boston Celtics. Everything seemed to be gelling along. And Phil Jackson running his mouth about LeBron James' business associates, and then starting, for whatever reason, a season-long feud with Carmelo Anthony and just blatantly bashing him in the media. It was like he literally single-handedly sabotaged the next season that started out with so much promise. Before you know it, Brandon Jennings is out of there, and the back to running a triangle, and nobody likes it, and Kristaps Porzingis is missing team exit meetings. This was a dysfunctional season, even for the Knicks standards, who has James Dolan as an owner. But when you have when you bring in a guy like Phil Jackson who's supposed to mend things together and he makes things worse, I don't see how you go top that.
You know, I kind of looked at each of these as objectively as I can. To me, the Mets season was undone by more things that were out of their control than things that they did themselves. So to me, I don't have as much sorry guys feeling for them. But Anthony, you talk about the Knicks. To me, that lent new meaning to the phrase dysfunction. When you're supposed to have a season where the focus should be on the development of Kristaps Porzingis as the next generation, and Carmelo Anthony doing a job as a mentor, and that kind of got shuffled to the side, is that he actually was doing a good job as a mentor to that guy, and it becomes all about Phil talking trash and airing dirty laundry. You just don't do that. You don't cut your best player down like that in public. That's just beyond wrong. That's as bad as that was. But to me, what happened to the Giants this year was just beyond the pale. Like you said, these guys were projected to, worst case, in a lot of people's minds, win the division and take it from the Cowboys. Yeah, Odell going down hurts them, sure. But McAdoo completely has done a 180. Everything that worked last year does not work this year. The way he's handling things with the team and in the media has just been flat out awful. And while I don't condone players going to the media and trashing him, it's proof that he did in fact lose the team, and the capper on it was what he did to Eli Manning. Hands down, Giants' worst season of the 3.
And that's why he's gone now.
Yep. Yes, that is.
And I agree. It's the Giants. I just think that the expectations were so much higher this year, and for them to be this bad is just shocking.
Yeah.
Before we continue with our awards, we'd like to take a moment and pay tribute to some of the sports figures we lost this year. Our nominees for this year's Golden Turducken Award for Best College Team of 2017 are as varied as we've had in a while.
Football's defending champs who are going for 2 in a row, the new queens of the court, and a pair of perennial contenders with extensive championship pedigree, including one in 2017.
Watson, touchdown!
It's my pleasure to present the National Championship Trophy to Coach Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers.
The first time in 5 years women's college basketball has a national championship team that doesn't come from the state of Connecticut.
And South Carolina has won the national championship.
This year, the confetti is going to fall for North Carolina. They're not going to be denied this time.
Mayfield, look left, has room, now throws it, touchdown.
Oklahoma has the college football playoff in its sights.
I have to go with Clemson because what they did last year was amazing. I mean, sure, everybody had Alabama winning yet another championship, which would have irritated the hell out of a lot of us. But what Deshaun Watson and Clemson did last year was absolutely amazing. And I remember seeing the last play of the game when they won. I literally jumped out of my chair at home. And I'm sure you guys did as well.
Yep.
I'm going with Clemson as well, and it's because, longevity pretty much tells you how good your program is. And this is year 3 that they're in the college football playoff. They got to the national championship again 2 years ago, lost, came back, won again, and now here they go once again with a chance to repeat as national champions. And by the way, they have Alabama, like you mentioned, once again. So I have to go with Clemson football. Why not?
Yeah.
Any other year, I'm a diehard NC Tar Heel basketball fan. You guys know this. So any other year where they won a title, I would be stumping for them. But I mean, as we've kind of almost beaten the horse dead at this point, I mean, what Clemson managed to do, winning a national championship, coming back to beat a team that they lost to the year before, to win that national championship, losing the best player in the nation in Deshaun Watson, and somehow managing to get all the way back to being the number 1 team in the nation, number 1 seeded in the college football playoff rankings, and to play for a second in a row. Dabo Swinney said that this team was built to outlast the loss of Deshaun Watson. So far, he's proved us all right.
He sure has.
And if you watch the way this team played all season long, which unfortunately for my Miami Hurricanes, they got a front row seat to watch how this team played in the ACC championship game. Clemson plays with poise, confidence, and experience. This team has been there before. They know what they're doing. They are focused. And it's almost like they're playing at a professional level because it's like a business, to them. And they're not letting them getting emotional and that kind of thing. They're really, they know what they're doing and they've been there before. And that experience has a lot to do with, how far they've gotten this year.
3 of the 4 nominees for our Golden Turkey Award for Best Professional Team of 2017 will make you shake your head and go, here we go again, as they seem to make this list almost every year.
The 4th will make you go, where did you come from, as they won their first title in franchise history, something Sports Illustrated predicted back in June of 2014.
Backhander, Sam Flurry, and the Pittsburgh Penguins again are the Stanley Cup champions.
Brady steps up again. Brady, it's complete.
That's what NFL football is all about. Take your Super Bowl trophy home to New England.
There it is, redemption for Golden State. One of the great playoff runs of all time is complete.
Astros win! The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Sports Illustrated predicting that the Astros would be the World Series champs this year, to me, is just icing on the cake as far as this award goes. I mean, what the city of Houston went through this year with Hurricane Harvey and the way the Astros became such a rallying point to help that city even begin to heal in the wake of that devastation, allowing the community to forget about its troubles for 3 hours on any given night to watch this team. And they just went all out. They did an amazing job both on and off the field in that city. And honestly, guys, Hollywood can't write a script like this. If you had said it, this is the way this season was supposed to end, based on the way you would have written that script. And you know what? Got a Hollywood ending. Props to the Astros.
Yeah, I mean, the Astros were obviously had an amazing year. And as much as I hate to say this, part of me thinks the Patriots deserve this because
Who are you and what have you done with
them.
Lisa?
I hate them, but they're just been so good for so long. I mean, what they did in the Super Bowl, which, we'll talk about more. And then this whole season, they've just been so solid and so good.
For me, when I think about this award, I think back to what the New Orleans Saints meant to the city of New Orleans
in the wake of Katrina.
The wake of Katrina. What the Yankees meant to New York after 9/11. The Astros were able to rally around everything that was going on with Hurricane Harvey in the city. And the fact that they were playing well before that, they had the best record in the American League before everything. But it's the fact that they played on emotion and the city getting behind them. It was more than just a championship. It was more like a thank you, we support you, and to lift up an entire city. The championships in the Sports Illustrated prediction just the ice on the cake.
Yep.
You know what, guys? Isn't it great that somebody other than the New England Patriots is the team of the year? I think it's terrific. And this team came into existence in 1962, same year as the Mets. Who knew they'd wind up in the American League and win the championship? But to me, they had the best year of all the teams we're talking about.
Our final award of the night is the Golden Drumstick for Athlete of the Year. This year's nominees include the quarterback who led the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, along with
2 NBA guards who had seasons for the ages while carrying their teams on their backs, and the AL MVP who led his team to its first World Series title and will share Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year.
Harden downtown. Oh! Russell Westbrook has broken the single-season record established more than a half-century ago by Oscar Robertson.
That's an MVP.
Physically, no one would ever confuse Altuve with the Sultan of SWAT.
Tom Brady is making it look so easy on the football field, no matter what age he's at.
Brady has his fifth.
I always ask the question throughout there, who was more important to the Thunder? Was it Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant? Last season, we got our answer loud and clear. I mean, Russell Westbrook, the first man since Oscar Robertson to average a triple-double of the season, he was everything to this team. I mean, when he went, so did the Thunder, and he pretty much single-handedly carried this team to the playoffs and actually managed to steal a game from the Houston Rockets. So, I mean, Russell Westbrook, there's no way you can possibly not give him this award.
I'd have to second that. I mean, the guy was a one-man wrecking crew, got them into the playoffs, had a number of triple-doubles all season long, had a phenomenal year, and there are great choices on here, but I got to go with Westbrook.
Yeah, I agree. He carried that team for a lot of the season, and he was so good. And don't worry, I'm not going to give the Patriots and Brady another shout out.
Good.
I don't think he deserved this one. I think Westbrook definitely, was a level above everyone else on this list.
I mean, as you guys know, I've been on the Westbrook train all season long. He was my midseason MVP. First time, like you said, Anthony, anybody's averaged a triple-double since Oscar Robertson in 61-62. They were a playoff team solely because of him. Losing record any night he did not put up a triple-double. I mean, all of these guys are worthy finalists, and they're worthy of making this list. Westbrook made history. To me, that's why he wins the award.
Although it started in 2016 when Colin Kaepernick knelt on the sidelines, the national anthem protests across the NFL became the most divisive issue, not just in the sports world, but in the real world as well in 2017. The apex came on the weekend of September 24th, where more players than ever before, along with some owners, knelt in protest during the anthem in response to the president calling for owners who see the players, quote, disrespecting the flag to, quote, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, he's fired. We haven't had the opportunity to talk about this on the show, but we're going to now. Guys, what's your take?
Guys, I mean, I have kind of held my tongue on this all year, both on the show and since I run the social media feeds for the show, I've held kind of my tongue there. But I kind of gotta put this out there. This has been this right here is a microcosm of the divide in this country right now between players, owners, players, fans, haves, have-nots, rich, poor, black, white, and the president, who should have been leading the charge to start the healing and calm things down, has only fanned the flame and made this worse. And the NFL has mishandled this about as badly as they've mishandled all of the domestic violence cases they've had combined, as far as I'm concerned. The issue to me is that this has gone from a player trying to raise awareness for a rather large issue that affects a lot of this country, and it's been taken over, and the narrative's been twisted by people who don't want to have this very uncomfortable conversation about this issue, and changing that narrative to, oh, they're disrespecting the flag, they're disrespecting the military. To me, that if this is going to get anywhere, if this is going to calm down, the narrative of what this actually is about needs to be brought back to the forefront, and the NFL needs to do a lot more to be a positive force here. No, the NBA doesn't have a problem with this. NHL, MLB, none of them have a problem with this. The NFL does, because it shows this league as the biggest rift between majority white owners of teams and majority black players in the league. It's just a shame that the NFL can't get its act together and be more of a positive force for this issue.
You know, Jay, in addition to what you're saying, my problem with this is that you've taken a player, Colin Kaepernick. You can argue the point that he's not quite as good a player as he was 3-4 years ago, and we've talked about this on the show also. But he has been pretty much maligned and blackballed out of the league, and I think that's the worst part, because what you've done with him is you've taken away his freedom of speech, you've taken away his right to stand up and say, I don't agree with what's going on in the country, I don't agree with standing up for the flag. And to me, that's the biggest right that you've taken away. And on top of that, this guy can't even get a job as a backup quarterback, much less a starter. And if I were Kaepernick, I would, after this league, I would go to the CFL and get my career resurrected, which I think he may be able to do.
You know, I have to agree with both of you. I mean, the whole narrative to this protest, and look, we've been seeing all this national anthem protest. It's never been about the national anthem. It's never been about the military. It's never been about the flag whatsoever. It was one player choosing a nonviolent way to bring awareness to something we've seen that's affected a lot of communities: social injustice, police brutality. I grew up in a tough part of Brooklyn. You know, we've all have friends, family that's been affected by it, and the president, and I say with all due respect, fanning the flames. In a moment where you're the leader, you're supposed to unite us, not do the opposite. It's disheartening.
Yes.
It's disheartening because he did this in Alabama. My parents are from the state of Alabama. And when you say things like this, and you saying this is majority black players who are protesting, what are the messages are you trying to send? And this whole time, it's never been about, it's about, I want to be right here, I want to be right there, and we're not getting it right. It's the NFL, you say the players maybe, you say the owners surely, and we say for the fans, a lot of hypocrisy has been exposed with this. And until we can put our heads together and get it right, we're never going to go in the right direction as far as solving what's the bigger issue at hand.
And the biggest thing to me, I mean, I agree with all of your comments completely, and the biggest thing to me is what the president said, to me, was blatant racism. Nothing short. No gray area there at all. His comments were racist comments. And I feel like the NFL sort of brushed that aside or didn't put enough emphasis on the fact that that was, you know, that's what that was. And to me, I feel like that should have been unacceptable. As tumultuous a year as 2017 was, there were still plenty of great sports accomplishments worthy of recognition. To conclude tonight's show, we're going to raise a glass to 4 of those accomplishments in our Holiday Toast segment. Anthony, first toast is yours.
Brian Boyle's toughness was tested this past summer when he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia. He missed all of training camp as he received treatments and made his debut with the New Jersey Devils on November 1st. 8 days later, he scored his first goal of the season after winning his biggest battle yet. An NHL goalie doesn't look so intimidating. My 2017 glass of cheer goes to Brian Boyle and to all who continue to fight the cancer. Thank you for inspiring, and thank you for never giving up.
All the boxes have been checked over for this Knicks fan. No more melodrama, no more Phil Jackson, no more talks about trades to Houston or Oklahoma City or Cleveland. And most importantly, no more talk about the horrific and idiotic behavior of one James Dolan. Finally, after years of meddling with his Knicks, sticking his nose in every piece of business, even when it doesn't belong, Dolan has kept his word and left his team alone this year. So for all Knick fans, I raise my glass. Dolan stays in his jazz band haze and continues to leave us and the team in peace for the rest of a season that hopefully ends with a deep playoff run.
With all the talk still about Colin Kaepernick and the national anthem protest causing fans to collectively paint NFL players with such a negative brush, we've forgotten about some of the good guy things done by NFL players this season, starting with J.J. Watt. The Houston Texans' all-NFL defensive end used his high profile to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey, which devastated the Houston area. He set out to raise $100,000. He raised $37 million. Watt didn't do it to raise his Q rating or to get himself more endorsements. He saw people in his adopted hometown in dire need in the aftermath of a natural disaster, and he just wanted to help. Here's to you, JJ. Well done.
My holiday toast goes to the New York Yankees. They exceeded our wildest expectations this year and went further in the postseason than anyone imagined. Coming back to win 3 straight against the Indians and then forcing the ridiculously good Astros to a Game 7 was a thrilling end to the year. This is a young team with lots of heart, energy, and talent. Joe Girardi will be missed, but hopefully Aaron Boone will infuse the team with that extra push to get to the World Series. Things are looking up for the Bronx Bombers, and it'll be interesting to see what next season brings. Congrats to the Yanks for a great run and for giving fans hope and excitement yet again. Cheers. Before we close tonight, we want to congratulate our Sean Roman on the birth of his daughter. Congrats, Sean.
Congratulations, Sean.
For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, and Anthony Strait, I'm Nisa Petrilli. And from all of us out here and all of our crew in the back, Pedro Hazel Jr., Nolan Toppin, Stephen Rabinowitz, and Ginger Broderick, thank you for spending all of 2017 with us. We'll see you on January 4th, 2018 for another edition of On the Sports Lines. If you want to see this show again or any other show you may have missed, check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!